one of our great functions is to serve as the staff for the Arlington Human Rights Commission and to provide investigations and support to the commission under the Human Rights Ordinance. And I'm going to share some information with you this afternoon about what the Human Rights Ordinance covers generally, and then a little bit specifically about how we cover housing discrimination in Arlington County. Our office also serves as the EEO office for county employees. So we have an internal function to handle any EEO matters for any county employee, and we handle reasonable accommodations for employees with disabilities, and also religious accommodations come through our office as well. And then we also handle the county's affirmative action plan, barrier analysis, and training under EEO and ADA and various other matters, and again, the whole other duties as assigned. So our little office kind of wears a number of hats. But I've been with the county, I think I'm in my 20th year now. So Michelle and I go way back. We knew each other. I used to be with DHS when I first started out with the county. So we've known each other a little while. So I don't want to age either one of us, Michelle. But we've been here a little while, but I'm happy to be with you today. I do have a PowerPoint presentation. I can share my screen and we can go through these slides, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have along the way about what we do with investigations of discrimination in Arlington County under all the different bases that we cover. Okay. Let me see. You'll let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. You're welcome. So I am going to talk to you a little bit about fair housing in Arlington County and what we do in terms of investigations of those complaints. And I'll go through kind of an overview of what our Human Rights Ordinance covers, and then a little bit specifically about fair housing. Our executive director is Gurjeet Chima. She is the executive director of the office and the assistant county manager for human rights, EEO, and ADA. So that's who our director is. So what does Chapter 31 cover? So we have the authority to investigate complaints of discrimination that occur in Arlington County in employment, housing, public accommodations, and that means places of business, restaurants, shops, doctor's offices, places you may go and do business in the county, non-public education, so private educational facilities from daycares and private schools and private colleges, things like that, commercial real estate and credit. So those are the areas that we have jurisdiction to look at complaints of discrimination. Our Fair Housing Ordinance specifically covers dwelling units if there are 4 or more units, and one of those is not owner occupied. So we can cover the majority of dwelling units in the county, but if it's a complaint that involves a landlord who rents fewer than 4 units or a room in their home or something like that, we would not have jurisdiction to cover those. But the majority of rental or dwelling units in the county we do cover. This does also apply to some extent to condominium units. Condominium associations can be held liable if there are policies that are in place that they have that restrict the rental of units or restrict the terms or conditions of living in the unit. And one of that restriction is against someone under a protected class, and we'll talk about what those protected classes are. So these are the protected classes that are covered under our Human Rights Ordinance in Arlington. We cover race, color, national origin, religion, elderliness in terms of housing, that's 55 and older. And then we also cover age, 40 and older in terms of employment complaints. Disability, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression is covered there as well. Marital status, familial status specifically to housing, which means having children under the age of 18 living with you, and then retaliation. So what are the primary things that are prohibited under our Fair Housing Ordinance? Failure to sell or rent to someone on because of a protected basis, discriminatory notices or advertising practices, any different terms or conditions that are applied to people because of a covered basis, termination of tenancy for someone because of something that is protected under our ordinance, harassment, and that includes sexual harassment that does sometimes occur in these relationships with landlords and tenants, and then a failure to properly accommodate someone for a disability or a religious practice. Okay, so fair housing, particularly with people with disabilities, I wanted to cover this just a little bit because it's one of the more frequently brought bases for a complaint. So I thought I would kind of go over a little bit about what landlords are required to do and what they're not required to do. A reasonable accommodation should be provided if it's necessary to fully use or enjoy the dwelling. Or any associated benefits for the person who lives for the tenant. So a reasonable accommodation is a request for a waiver, a change in policy, a change in practice, or how things are normally done to make sure that a person with a disability has equal access to and opportunities for housing. And that includes the use of amenities within a dwelling. So if an apartment building has a pool or an exercise room or things like that, garages, parking spaces, things like that. There does need to be a direct connection between the person's disability and the reasonable accommodation request that they're making. A person with a disability may make reasonable modifications to a dwelling or to common areas at his or her own expense. So that could be adding a temporary ramp to get from the parking lot to the building, or adding grab bars to the bathroom. Those things are permissible, and the landlord should allow that. They can make accommodation requests to the rules, policies, practices, amenities, or services. So, for example, if the building has a no pets policy, that does not apply to a service animal or a companion, a emotional support animal. It should be allowed as well if the person can show that that is required for their disability. They may request parking privileges for a personal care attendant who may come to assist them with whatever needs they may have that's related to their disability. Things like that should be provided for by the landlord. So there are certain situations where a housing provider can deny a request for reasonable accommodation. If the request is made on behalf of a person, was not made on behalf of a person with a disability, if there's no disability related need for the accommodation, if it would impose an undue financial burden or administrative burden for the housing provider, and they have to be able to show that that's the case, or if it fundamentally alters the nature of the provider's operation. So, for instance, they're not required to provide personal care attendant services for someone, or provide something beyond what they would normally provide for a tenant upon request. Okay, so how does our complaint process work? We are complaint driven at this point, and the way we do business, we require people to come to us and let us know that they think they have experienced a discriminatory act, and we will take a look at that. We are a neutral fact finder and decision maker. We have to take a neutral standpoint when someone brings a complaint to us. We don't represent either side. We don't provide legal representation for either side. We have to maintain a neutral stance. The investigator will take the complaint, discuss that with the complainant, draft the complaint, and then serve that along with another number of documents on the respondent. And then the respondent has the opportunity to provide their defense. And we give them the opportunity to tell us their side of the story and why they don't think that they discriminated against that person. The investigator then examines the witnesses. We do interviews, we'll do site visits, we'll look at documents, determine if there's any reasonable cause to believe that a discriminatory act has occurred and that the ordinance has been violated or not. And then we will issue a decision. We issue that decision to the complainant, and if the decision is averse to the complainant, or we find that we did not find that discrimination occurred, the complainant, if they disagree with our finding, does have the right to appeal that decision to the Human Rights Commission. So they will go to the commission, they will share their point of view, why they think that we got it wrong, what we did, why we had an incorrect finding, and then the commission will make a determination. So when the commission has that appeal, they'll hear all the sides of the story. They'll look at our record and our determination, what we found, and then they make the final decision. If we do find that discrimination occurred, then we have a number of possible remedies at our disposal that we can offer. Typically, if we find that discrimination has occurred, we will attempt to conciliate between the parties and come to an agreement that resolves the matter and makes the person whole again. We may have compensatory damages if the person incurred any expense along the way that they should not have had to incur. We do not have the authority to have punitive damages, and we do not have the authority to impose attorney fees or things like that. So this is just a sort of an overview of where the greatest number of our complaints fall. We definitely have the greatest number of complaints in the employment area. That's about 70% of the complaints that we do. Housing is second to that, and then public accommodation. Those are the three areas where we have the greatest number of complaints that come to our office, but definitely employment is the most frequently claimed. And our housing complaints, these are sort of the layout or the spread of where we find the bases that people claim. And it is helpful to understand that often people may claim more than one basis for discrimination when they bring a complaint. They may feel that they experienced discrimination based on race and sex, or age and disability, or more than one thing. So it could be, multiple areas covered here, but largely we see complaints falling into the race, disability, and retaliation as sort of the greatest number of complaints that we see, or the bases that are claimed in housing. Few of the topics that we see kind of being more frequently claimed or coming to us are about reasonable accommodation, particularly in the area of modifications to the apartment and what people are allowed to do, or what they've requested that they be allowed to do and are not being able to do, and service and emotional support animals, and how those are treated within the dwelling unit. Also hoarding concerns and the circumstances surrounding those, and evictions. Those are the areas that we see kind of most frequently coming up. So that's our contact information, but I'll stop sharing right now, and I'm happy to go back over anything or take any questions that you might have.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Carlos.
How are you?
Good.
My apologies for being late. I had a bit of an emergency. But one thing I shall say, because I used to chair the Human Rights Commission, is that the office does its work very well. And they take the investigations incredibly seriously, and they're very, very thorough. And if you saw the files, you would go, wow, that's a lot of work. So we didn't have to see a lot of cases, at least in my time, for people having to go through and say, I disagree, and they have the right to that appeal. Having said that, that's a good thing, because that means that the office is doing its job well. But my question is more in terms of the hoarding. Mm-hmm. That's fascinating to me, because my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that is hoarding considered a disability?
It could be if there's an associated mental health diagnosis that is causing that behavior. And so then we would look at whether or not there's a reasonable accommodation that could have been provided, what could have been done, how was that handled, was the housing provider aware that there might be a need for reasonable accommodation. So the hoarding itself, in and of itself, the behavior may not be, but if there's an associated diagnosis that is leading to that, then we would need to look at the bigger circumstance about what did what did the housing provider know, and what actions did they take before they moved to evict someone, that kind of thing.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos, do you want to continue the discussion?
Sure, if you don't mind. Excellent. Let's see. I think I see well, to follow up with the question, I'll ask also. My understanding is that there's like a task force on hoarding, and that sometimes there have been actually fires that have occurred because it becomes a hazard. So is this something serious? I didn't know was that serious. But I also, Steve is a guest, and the question is, how or when does a case become federal? That's interesting.
Well, people have the right to file a complaint with the federal agency. They can file with both of us. They can file with HUD, and they can file with our office. We do not currently have a work sharing agreement with a federal agency for housing complaints. We do for employment. We work with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and dual file most of our employment charges with them. But we often refer people to the federal agencies as well if we think that there may be matters that they have greater jurisdiction over, or they're, let people know that they have other options as well, and we'll take it and look at it from our local ordinance standpoint and what we cover, and then notify them of how they can go about filing a federal charge to have perhaps greater enforcement opportunities, or there may be other bases that the federal agencies can cover that we don't have authority to do.
That's interesting. Is it possible to file them both with the local office and at the federal level?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and they could even perhaps do that with at the state level under some bases with the Attorney General's office, I think.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I see Jessica has a question. I see her hand up. Regarding housing complaints, if modification requests are honored, is this at the expense of the person who complained or the housing company? Great question.
Well, so the housing, generally speaking, housing providers are not required to make a modification for someone with a disability who might need that, but they are required to allow that to happen if it's a reasonable thing to do. And the person is, they can ask the person to return it to the normal, to the original state when they leave the building. Oftentimes, if somebody puts grab bars in or something like that, they'll say, fine, don't worry about it, leave it. But they can request. If there was a finding that for some reason the reasonable accommodation request to make a modification should have been honored and was not, then it might perhaps work out as a conciliation to say, well, that's how we're going to resolve this, is that you assist them with getting this done now, or something like that. I mean, that could work out as part of the resolution of a cause finding.
Excellent. And by my little clock here, I think we have time just for one more question. And how long does the process take? Oh, that's a good question.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends. We do try to process complaints, within, I would say, 6 to 8 months, and that sounds like, my gosh, that sounds like a really long time. But we take the complaint, we file the complaint, then we have to give the respondent ample time to reply to that. And that's usually 30 to 45 days for them to get their response together, determine what they, what they're gonna, what their defense is essentially to the allegations, and then we have to meet with the complainant and go through that response and give them the opportunity for their rebuttal. And then there may be witnesses to interview, documents to collect. You'd see what else comes out along the way in the investigation if we want to do a site visit. So it can take some time for all of that to work its way through the system. So I always tell people, we can't come in and stop something from happening. If something is going wrong, or, a lot of people, you feel for them. They're going through a crisis. They might be on the verge of eviction or something, and you understand that they're distressed, but we don't operate in that way, that we can come in and stop something. We don't do injunctions on anything. but we can still continue to go through the process and give them a determination of the facts when we conclude the investigation. Even if they may need to move on and do something else, we can still continue on with the investigation.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I think that's all the time that we have
Okay,
slotted for you. So again, thank you so much for being here. I really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
it. And if there are any follow-up questions, you can send them to me. I will be happy to forward them to you. And hopefully it won't take 8 months. No.
No. It won't.
Nonetheless, thank you so much, Anna. And
You're welcome.
keep up the great work.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Well, that was a fascinating presentation. And I think to myself, you know, how we often call on the need for there to be universal design. I mean, we really had that across the board. A lot of these issues, you know, in terms of modification and allowing that to be a more welcoming space for older adults would be, you know, even more the case for that to happen would be great because, you know, it would be a more welcoming place than ever. So Cheryl, do you want me to continue with the agenda or do you want to?
No, you keep going.
Okay. Very good. So now that we've had a chance to hear from the Office on Human Rights, we're going to talk a little bit about an update for the age-friendly plan. And I believe, is Cindy here or?
No, unfortunately, neither Cindy or Erica are here.
Okay.
When I sent out the agenda, I attached a very general PowerPoint presentation that gave an overview of the age-friendly plan, just to kind of remind people of you know, what the basic elements of the plan are in the 5 areas of housing, transportation, communication, health, social participation, and interaction. And people continue through the committees of the Commission on Aging to try to implement the goals and objectives of that plan. One thing just to keep in mind, and so I would just urge people to take a look at it. One of the things that I thought was interesting about that particular presentation, it was done before the Chamber of Commerce. And there was an effort there, I think Cynthia presented it, and with Erica, to get the business community more knowledgeable about the older adults in Arlington and what their needs are, what they contribute in terms of economically and this kind of thing, and get more participation and sign on to those folks who are over 55 in our community. So I think that the presentation was quite interesting. So if you have a chance to take a look at it. The other thing just to keep in mind is that the plan is a 5-year plan and was supposed to end like next year and then redone, hopefully with new goals and new objectives. Needless to say, some of the activities were kind of on hold because of COVID. So there might be an extension there. But right now, all of the committees within the Commission on Aging are continuing to work on their goals and objectives. So as I said, I just strongly encourage members of this committee as well as guests to take a look at that presentation. I think it's very helpful in terms of statistics and what the components of the plan are.
Right, thank you so much. Well, let's move on then to Michelle, who is going to give us an update on the Agency on Aging LICAP. Michelle?
Yes. Hi. Testing 1, 2, 3. Is that better?
Yes.
Oh, super. Okay. I wanted you all to offer your feedback on whether you were able to attend the Volunteer Arlington Celebration of Volunteerism that happened probably 2 weeks ago. I worked closely with Rachel and Helen to submit names from the Commission on Aging. Was anyone here able to attend the virtual event?
I
Okay.
did, Michelle. It's Wendy.
Oh, super. Yes, Wendy, of
I
course you
also
did.
I also attended. It was a really nice program. They did a great job.
Oh, wonderful. I am going to find the link for others who may not have been able to join and send it over to Cheryl and Carlos for their follow-up email. And then you all may have heard Helen King is actively working on the Pop-Up Farmers Markets initiative again this year. And she had one over at Woodland Hills, July the 14th. There's another one coming up at Claridge House, August the 11th. And she has confirmed with Hunter's Park and the new resident services coordinator, October the 13th. So more information is going to follow. Helen is also spearheading a pop-up farmers market September the 8th. The location of that is to be determined, but apparently it's been great success. So I will continue to pass on that information. So if anyone wants to join Helen, just please send her an email to let her know at any of those sites. Again, Claridge House, Hunter's Park, and then the third location in September is going to be confirmed. And then finally, I do want to share and thank you to those who have joined me in signing up to support the Arlington County Fair this year. That's going to be held in less than 30 days at this point. So between August 19th and the 21st will be over at the Thomas Jefferson Community Center. So if any others would like to join me in signing up, Carlos, thank you too for signing up. And then Wendy, she's going to get some A&V volunteers to join as well. So please send me an email and let me know. Thank you so much.
Michelle, it's Wendy. I just want to put in a pitch for
Hi, Wendy.
2 tables this year. I know we did a very scaled back version last year, and we just had 1 table for all of our stuff, and it wasn't enough. So
okay, I'll talk to Kurt. Absolutely.
Get Kurt to give us 2 tables.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not saying it has to be separate tables. We just need more space, all of us.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Wendy.
Mhm.
And may I say that I completely enjoyed my experience volunteering at the first pop-up. I learned a lot, and I was responsible for making sure that some of the veggies were well packed, because people come prepared, but I had the cantaloupes, and the cantaloupes were huge, and they're heavy. I mean, they were heavy for me. I'm thinking someone who's, in their 80s is going to be even heavier for them. And I was very proud that I was able to push the cantaloupes out, and we ran out completely.
Great job, Carlos.
It was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And again, I learned a lot, not only in terms of the program, which is really impressive, but also that the residents, they know when to be there. They're lined up early. And the other thing that was impressive was they dress up, which is really lovely. And so people, it's an outing for them, if you will. It's like they're going grocery shopping. So thank you for all the work.
Oh, my pleasure. And I see 2 hands. I don't know if they're related to any updates I just offered, or if they're just general questions.
So Jessica and Steve. Jessica?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Carlos, for explaining. That's cute. I like the image you gave us. Michelle, yes, mine's related to the pop-up farmers market. Is that open to anyone, even though it's at like Claridge House and Hunter's in the third location? Is that open to anybody? Is that okay if I promote it, or is it just more for the residents that are there?
From the times that I have served and volunteered, it's been specific to the residents that reside in that building.
Okay.
But I'm happy to check in with Helen this week to confirm, especially since there are some opportunities coming along the pike, Jessica, that can be promoted, if that's the case. Yes.
Yeah, we could either promote it in our general e-news that we send out monthly, or we could promote it within our Social 60 Plus Cafe group if that hasn't been done already. Because a lot of them are from Claridge House or other locations. So they might be there already or know about this already. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
And Steve, I see your hand.
Thank you. I just wanted to I don't know if it's relevant or not, but since we're talking about the county fair, I did want to mention that the Friends of the Planetarium will be having a booth there. And we do hope that the planetarium is going to open in October.
Oh, that's great.
Wonderful. Yes.
Great.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I don't, Cheryl, do you know whether AIM is going to have a booth?
I don't know. That's an excellent question, Steve. I will be, in fact, interestingly, I'm going over to AIM this afternoon, so I will check with the staff there and see, remind them that that it's coming up, because Arlington Independent Media does have a booth every year. And I'm torn between volunteering for Arlington Independent Media or volunteering for the Commission on Aging, or not the commission, but on the Agency on Aging. So I will check it out and share with folks.
Right, I've already made my choice.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Any other questions for Michelle? All right. I know it's time to hear from individuals in the room, in the space, but I also want to acknowledge that Patricia is visiting today as a guest. Patricia, how are you?
I'm doing fine, and thank you for having me. Yes, so I'm here on behalf of the Center for Optimal Aging and behalf of our faculty, and just happy to participate and say that we are very interested in participating in some of the activities. I was just sending a text to Michelle for her to send to us the info about the fair to see how we could have a table or what kind of activities we could provide as well.
Okay, thank you,
Excellent.
Patricia. Will do.
Thank you so much. So if I could see some hands for people who can have an opportunity to provide some updates, and I'm gonna start with Wendy because I see her there in our space. Wendy, any updates?
Hold on, I'm sitting here clicking on my camera so that I can at least say, hello, everybody. You know, I'm not sure whether either of you are going to mention, but one thing to mention that affects all of us is that the Arlington Community Foundation has put out a request for their 55+ grant catalog, looking for proposals in the areas that would support the age-friendly plan: transportation, volunteer coordination, communications and promotion of older adult services, technology, digital literacy, and programs that reduce social isolation. I know that A&V is planning to submit a proposal in the communications promotion of older adult services category, which would be supporting the Senior Ambassador Program. So just FYI to everybody, it's something that Carlos and Cheryl have advocated for a long time, and hopefully some of these funds can help bring it about. So thank you both for your advocacy in getting us, you know, I don't know the right sports metaphor, but I think we're at the 1-yard line. And the offensive line has nothing to offer. No, the defensive line is a bunch of short, small people.
Okay.
Nothing can stop us.
Okay.
Fingers crossed, Wendy.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Patricia and Wendy, for all the work you're doing. But
Yeah.
I have no knowledge of that metaphor, so I can't even comment.
Well, I know. I don't know enough about sports. I can screw it up.
Okay. Since we're using Teams, I'm going to try to identify who's in the space because not everyone's names are appearing, unfortunately. So Jessica, do you want to provide any update?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Okay, so I'm going to read a few of my notes here, but we're actually in the middle of the guide right now, and the guide will be coming out August 10th. We send it out through our e-news, and then of course we post it online with registration starting the next week, August 17th. But an exciting program that we have, which is something new to us, is the 55+ camp that we're going to be having in October, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like camp. So for those of you that have gone to camp when you were younger and remember that experience, that's the same kind of experience we're trying to recreate. So activities that would be like hiking, biking, anything that they're still kind of deciding on the final things. but there's also going to be paired up with, let's say you feel like you might not be able to hike 5 miles, whatever's decided, then there'll be other activities for individuals. So it'll be accessible for all. It'll be from Monday, October 10th through Friday, October 14th. The cost will be $100. And again, registration starts August 17th with limited spots. There'll also be an exciting possible field trip midweek because it's 5 days. That includes the 5 days that cost with the field trip and everything, lunch on your own, maybe a field trip to go hiking and then a winery afterwards. So be looking forward to that. The other thing that is interesting that we have are computer classes along with connection to the Affordable Connectivity Program Fair. So the Affordable Connectivity Program. It's a U.S. government program run by the Federal Communication Commission, the FCC, to help low-income households pay for internet service and connected devices like laptops, tablets, anything like that. And then they're going to actually have vendors on site to assist eligible households with enrollment. Right now, we do have it for seniors to sign up. It's going to be at Walter Reed Wednesday, September 14th, 10 to 1. And I can send this off so it could be included maybe if you guys need information because the guide isn't out yet. But I could see that being opened up to the general public because, again, it's for households, not just senior households. And then along with that, the Alliance, they are providing Mondays and Wednesdays from mid-September, like September 19th through October 26th, computer classes. So be able to learn basic computer skills, how to use your email, access the internet, and it'll be from instructors from Arlington Community Learning through APS. So it's sponsored by the Alliance. There is a $40 fee, but if you qualify for the federal Affordable Connectivity Plan, then it actually is free. So there's like a two-part to that. I'm trying to promote it for the general public as well, because I think a lot of households would qualify. And then finally, I just wanted to mention, that's funny, Steve, that you mentioned about planetarium programs, because we're having a ton of them for the fall, and they all look fabulous. As staff, we're all trying to figure out how to get a spot in our own programs to see so they're going to be at multiple centers, and it all is sponsored through the planetary program. So I forgot the presenter, but it's Dr. Jennifer. Sorry, I can't remember, but I'm trying to see. Let's see, Dr. Jennifer Lynn Bartlett. Yes. Bartlett, yes. And so she'll be there. So we're really excited about that. And then finally, I just wanted to say, going into the fall, you'll see that our guide is actually more reflective of our true program. Most of our programs have come back. We will still continue to do in person. We will still continue to have some virtual. We have some hybrids. So you can either sign up in person to be there in person or see it through Zoom. And then our office has partnered with other Northern Virginia jurisdictions to continue to provide virtual programs on set days of the week. So Alexandria might provide virtual programs on Monday, while Loudoun County might be Tuesdays, and Fairfax will be Wednesday, and Arlington will be Thursday. So we're continuing to work with our local jurisdictions to be accessible to different formats. Sorry for the long report, but a lot of exciting things happening. And let me know if you have any questions about anything, but I'll provide this for notes in case anybody needs to see it.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great updates. So I have a question.
I've got questions too. So you go first, Carlos.
Yeah, actually, I have lots of people in line, so I'm trying to make sure I have this lined up correctly. I saw LC have their hand up. So LC, who is LC, first of all?
It's probably Link Cummings. And I represent the and our mission is engagement and participation of older people. And we're excited to let you know about the walking school bus program that we've initiated. It's an intergenerational effort to get the grandmothers and grandfathers to walk little kids to school. It's been very successful, including a feature on CBS News. We're working during the summer to roll it out on multiple elementary schools. Stay tuned.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Link. Michelle, I believe that's you that has your hand up as well.
Yes, so exciting to hear all of this great news. And Jessica, please keep me in mind for the camp. If you need any volunteers during the first part of that week of October the 10th, I have some flexibility to be able to support, so we can talk offline about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I would love that. Thank you.
Cool. And Wendy, I see your hand, Wendy.
Yeah, Jessica, a couple of things. One, the September 10th event for access to the broadband. I'd love to be able to promote that to our membership. So anything you can give me in text form that I can include in either our August 15th and or September 1st newsletter would be great. And I don't need a flyer because flyers don't do anything for me. I just need the text. So
absolutely, I'll send that to you after the meeting. Absolutely, I'll send you.
Right.
I'll send you our like our blurb with our registration in case, you know, because you have members for us, but then also you could use it for the general public, because I just feel like everybody should know about the program if they qualify.
No, I agree. And I think the qualification items should also be included on your flyer. Just so people don't get overly excited if they're not gonna be eligible. The second was on the Lions Club, which again, that sounds great. Do you have a location? Did I miss the location for that, where that's going to be taking place?
For the computer classes?
Yeah.
That's going to be at Walter Reed as well. And that'll be September 19th through the October 26th. And I'll send that to you as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And then the third comment, and it's a comment. I went to the joint, county website on offerings last Friday because I sort of heard about it, but hadn't really paid attention to it. I had a little bit of problems understanding the website and navigating it. I'm happy to give you some feedback offline. But as a novice, just going there without really knowing what to expect, I think we need a little bit more language to help people figure out what's there and how to access it.
I agree. I would welcome any feedback. I actually update the web pages, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
If I didn't work for Arlington County, it would take me a moment to figure out where I needed to land to get my information.
Great. Okay,
I agree.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Wendy. Do we have any other updates? And I'm sorry, I don't know if Teams did an update on their layout, but I'm having a hard time seeing any names.
Well, I see Link's hand. I'm sorry. And I also see Jim Morris has some comments in the chat. Jim? Once you get, okay, I'll read them off because he's not able to unmute.
Okay, thank you.
Pardon me, Cheryl, for 1 second.
No, that's
but Jim has some questions about the quorum, if anyone has any updates about that, and then the status of the ambassador program. Thank you, Jim. Can either of you offer any updates about either?
Yeah, Cheryl, do you want to give an update?
On which thing?
On the ambassador program.
Well, that was what Wendy was talking about in terms of partnering with the Center for Optimal Aging, and because of the money that's available from the Community Foundation, Arlington Community Foundation, there is going to be a collaboration of applying for a small grant. If you remember correctly, of course, the way the age-friendly plan is worded, it's testing the feasibility, but we're pretty familiar with all of the components that would be there, but it would certainly start out on a smaller level. But the biggest factor was trying to find some money because we need somebody who can be the manager. And the fact that the Community Foundation is offering a little money, that's a start. And so with that, there might be more opportunities for finding a little more money from other organizations. So that's, fingers crossed. And hopefully, we'll be able to move on this year, especially since this is the last year officially of the age-friendly plan. So if we can get something going this year yet, that would be great.
Great, thank you so much for that. And then Michelle, I missed the first part of Jim's question.
Yes, he'd like some more insight around the quorum.
Oh, so that's an excellent question. Actually, I had a question about that. In relation to the memo that's been released by the county manager's office, saying that the state of emergency is over for COVID and that things are coming back to real time, including the board meetings, do we have any update, Michelle?
I don't at this time, and Helen is standing by. I think for right now, between now and September, all meetings, from what I understand, will be maintained virtually. However, there is going to be a transition, and once Mark Schwartz has more information and rolls that down regarding our meetings, I'm happy to share that, or Helen may share that in a larger Commission on Aging meeting. But more to come.
Yeah, because when I went to get tested for COVID, I had to ask the people who, coordinate that, what is going to happen in terms of the availability of testing and boosters, and none of the staff even knew about the memo. So there's a need to do a lot more communication across all parties.
That's good to know. Okay,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
I do have it. We're running out of time. Any other updates? And I'm sorry again, I can't see names for some reason.
I know Jennifer Odlum is on the was on this meeting. She may have something about the library.
Hi, yeah. So I don't have any big news coming out of the library, but I will say that we are over halfway through summer and therefore over halfway through summer reading. Summer reading program is not just for kids, it's for people of all ages, and we've got great prizes. All you have to do is read every day, and you can earn free tickets to a Nats game. You can earn oh my goodness, I'm just blanking. We have, well, of course, you can earn a free book, most importantly. And if
you have that free thing going to the pool.
Exactly, I was just about to say, so if you become a super reader, which is just tacking on some additional reading or attending library programs, which Link did at least last week at my at the Tree and Seed program, I saw him. Then if you do a few extra activities or continue to read, you win a voucher for a free pass to the Arlington, the Longbridge Aquatic and Fitness Center, which is pretty exciting because that is not an inexpensive entry fee. So you can go down the lazy river or the water slide or have fun in any way you wish. So, and then we have a raffle as well for, we're raffling off 4 year-long family memberships to the Baltimore Aquarium. All of this is water themed this year, as you can tell. So, so keep that in mind for yourselves or for any of your friends or acquaintances in the area. They are all welcome to participate. Other than that, we are continuing to do a lot of programming like the 55 plus centers. We are open and we are active, and there is a lot going on, a lot for older adults. So I encourage you to check out our calendar of events.
Well, that is incredibly exciting. And then Herschel, I see you're here. Do you have any updates?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Very good.
And the other piece, I was just going to mention Galera is on, was with the committee. I don't know if she has anything to add. Is she still with us? She may have gone off. And then
I think yes, I don't see her name in the chat any longer.
And another person who was with us is Claudia Silva. Claudia, do you have anything to add?
Hi. No, I just took over this position about a month ago, so I'm just getting, getting settled in and learning and meeting some of you guys. So I'm very appreciative of having been invited to this meeting, and look forward to working with you guys.
Okay.
Excellent.
I think that's all, Carlos.
Okay, Patricia just put something in the chat that they're offering a presentation on the stigma of Alzheimer's. If you can, Patricia, do us a favor and send more details to Cheryl or myself, and we can, do a little bit more marketing for you for that.
Yeah, we'll try to work with Michelle, and since this program was recorded, that we can send it to all of the folks who were not able to be with us today, since it's summer and other folks have other commitments as well. But that way we can try to, get the word out, because there was a lot of really good information. Plus the presentation was excellent. So I'd like to share that with everybody.
Absolutely. And Steve, congratulations on being on day 50 of the summer reading program. You can take a selfie of yourself going down the water slide. That'd be great.
Yes.
That'd be good for you.
Congratulations, Steve.
That's amazing. Okay, well, it's 3 o'clock now, Cheryl, by my clock here.
Okay.
And if there are no other updates, we don't have a meeting next month. Is that correct?
That's correct. Now, the next meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 26th at 2 p.m. And based on what I'm hearing, that may be back face-to-face. So I guess more to come in terms of whether that'll be the case, and hopefully everybody is staying healthy for the rest of the summer and we can actually do that. So
that'd be great. All right. Take care of yourselves. Stay hydrated, stay cool. Let's survive this little bit of a heat wave that we're going through. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.